From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London. I've just got back from Spain, actually, Marbella, playing a bit of paddle. I'd love to say preparing for the next Paddle World Cup, but not strictly speaking, but I think my game has improved. But I'm very interested in the WCA report into the global game structure that's only just dropped, and I'm sure that's going to give plenty of talking points in the coming weeks.
Yes, it's going to share some lolly around, you'd think, which will be for the betterment of the game. Jim Maxwell here in Sydney, just keeping an eye on what's happening in Adelaide, where the Shield final is going on.
And we've got a great start to the IPL. I'm Charu Sharma for Akashvani. At home, but not in Bangalore, up in my Himalayan home, as it were. I can see the big peaks in front of me. Quite picturesque, the whole thing. Keeping an eye on the IPL, but there's so many matches, so much going on. It's already getting a little tough to find out who's where, but it rolls along and there's a long way to go.
Don't say that. We're only just starting the tournament. Good to see you both. Coming up, we'll reflect on the news that the iconic Gabba Stadium is set to be demolished. But first, former Australia pace bowler Peter Siddle has announced his retirement from first-class cricket. After making his first-class debut against the West Indies in 2005, Siddle played 231 matches, amassing 792 wickets at an average of 26.20. He was a fixture of the Australian Test side for a number of years, clocking up 67 tests and 21 day internationals as well. And his 221 test wickets, well, only 14 Australian bowlers have taken more. And at 40 years of age, I have to say, seemed to be at the peak of his red ball powers up to the very end, pulling the curtain down on a brilliant Sheffield Shield career with 7 wickets in his final outing for his state of Victoria. And I'm pleased to say that Peter is with us now. Thanks for joining us. You've gone out on a real high, haven't you? I mean, just tell us about that first of all, Sids, and then your overall reflections on your first-class career.
Yeah, thanks for having me on firstly. But yeah, it was a good finish, as much as it could be good anyway. Obviously, like Jim said earlier, not being a part of the Shield final this year was disappointing. But yeah, on a high, it was nice to finish the season with a win for Victoria, but also, yeah, play my part by taking the last wicket with my last ever first-class ball. It wasn't a bad finish at all.
Yeah, I know you've already had your period of time reflecting on your Test career, but of course we're going to touch on that as well during this chat. And we can't have you on the show without, of course, first going back to a famous birthday hat-trick that you took at the Gabba back in the 2010-11 Ashes. Tell me, on your birthday, do you still think about that moment?
Yeah, I still think about it, but I think everyone else around me thinks about it more. I still to the day get sent plenty of videos of it and links to watch it again, and it does brings back some very fond memories. I think, like you said, when I was still playing, I probably didn't really look at it as much as I probably do now, reflecting back on my career and looking back on that day. And it's starting to get a little bit emotional with the fact that after the Olympics, it's going to get demolished, and there'll be Gabba, no Gabba no more.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you. So it's Cook, Pryor, Broad as your hat-trick moment. But yeah, I mean, overall with the Gabba going, I mean, do you sort of support that as a whole, even though there's some emotion there? What's your feeling on it?
It's probably no. I don't have that big a deal. I guess not being from Queensland, it's if it was MCG getting knocked down, I'd probably be shattered. But I think more just jokingly it'll be disappointing and a little bit sad when it does go. Like it's not like it's a ground that's going to stay standing and you can still drive past it or see it. It's actually it's fully going to be demolished. So fair to say, in the years to come, I'll drive past there and there won't be an oval and it won't feel the same. That's for sure.
Peter, hi. I've got to begin by saying that, fast bowlers tend to look like they're working really hard, but boy, you look like you worked really hard every ball you bowled. When you take 221 wickets in test matches, obviously it's not possible to remember all, but I think you might have reason to remember your very first.
Obviously, you always remember your first wicket, but I think, like you're saying and alluding to, that being the great Sachin Tendulkar, it's very special. I think, just that the opportunity when I did debut to play against that Indian side that still had a lot of great players in and amongst it was obviously firstly a great opportunity, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that I'd be able to say that Sachin Tendulkar was my first Test wicket, and I guess he has played 200 Test matches, so I'm sure that he was a lot of people's first wicket at some stage throughout his career. But definitely a very good club to be in, that's for sure.
Sid, hello, Jim Maxwell here. Congratulations on your outstanding, brilliant, like Jimmy Anderson, a career that just keeps going. So talk a bit about the Victorian side of it and Shield titles as well as the Test match and national representation. I particularly remember Kevin Peterson becoming your bunny at one stage during Ashes series. But a bit about Victoria.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's a special time. Obviously, it's always great to represent your country and, play international cricket and all that type of thing. It's a dream as a young kid growing up. But I think, that camaraderie and that mateship about playing with some of your best friends together for Victoria, having success. I was very lucky throughout my career that we had a lot of success. I probably missed out on a lot of opportunities to play in a fair few of those finals because of international duties and stuff like that. But to play in a couple myself was an amazing time for Victorian cricket. And yes, like I said, some of those guys now are still my closest mates. Still have a lot of close friendships there. Like you alluded to a little bit earlier, I'm a lot older, so a lot of them retired a long time ago. But it's been an amazing journey.
Now you got to keep playing for the Melbourne Stars. I just want you to put a line in about whether or not it was bananas in your vegan diet that allowed you to bowl so well, so fast for so long.
I'll probably have to say there's a lot of things that go into it. I think we've got Warnie to thank for going along with the story that I had 30 bananas a day. Probably didn't help that I went along with it as well, convincing all the young kids at cricket clinics that, yes, I did have that many bananas, but I had a few. But it was definitely never that many. But I think, a lot of my lifestyle choices over the years have definitely helped me get to where I am now and still be playing at 40. And relatively over the last sort of 10 years, my body has been in probably the best condition it has been. So the veganism, the vegetarian over those years, stopped drinking alcohol, been sober for 13 years. So lots of different things throughout. But I love playing cricket. I love bowling and I want to do it for as long as I can. And I think one of the greatest things I'm thankful for now is to be able to, decide when I finish up myself and the body 100%, which, not a lot of people get to do.
Yeah, definitely some life lessons there about life choices, I reckon. You played a lot of county cricket here in England, Sids, over the course of your career as well. Just wonder how you compare the Sheffield Shield to the county championship and which school, if you like, is best preparing players for Test cricket?
I reckon both. I think I did love my time in the county championship. It's, like some of the best opportunities. I've been very lucky that I've played at some really good counties. I'm sure all counties are great, but I've been very lucky to have played at some really good ones and successful ones. I won a county championship back in 2019, and even though I left Essex to play in the Ashes that year, to play a part in most of the season was, similar to Victoria, some of the best time that I've had. So still got a lot of close friends there, and definitely the skill sets that I learnt playing over there, the grind of the circuit, back-to-back games, learning how to bowl a lot, and putting your body through a lot of strain and pressures. Yeah, I definitely got a lot to thank of English cricket, and who knows, like over in the future, I might be back there coaching one day. Definitely something that I'd love to do. How
have you seen Australian conditions change over the years? I mean, and I'm thinking again ahead to the Ashes series that's going to be played with the men coming up in November, and England seem to be, wanting lots of out and out pace for their attack. Are they right to take that approach? What's your take on Australian pitches now across the country?
It's probably been a little bit different than it probably has earlier into my career, and even for Shield cricket was probably a bit similar back then. Was that they're probably a little bit flatter and potentially at times a little bit more spin friendly, and you'd see batters making high scores, teams making big totals. Whereas the last few years of especially Shield cricket has been a little bit more bowler dominated, a little bit more life in the wickets, teams looking for results rather than playing out for draws and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in the Test arena and what they dish up. But the last couple of summers have probably been a little bit bowler friendly and a bit more along that line. So do you need out and out pace? Maybe not as much, but Test cricket in Australia has been hard over the years. Bouncy wickets with a little bit extra pace, those type of bowlers have seemed to have the success. So, who knows what England will bring out. I know, we have the same problems when we go over to England. We we think too much about the conditions and not so much about our bowlers, who's the most successful, most consistent, who's going to do the job for us. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, you look at Scotty Boland, he's probably came in over the last couple of years in Australia specifically and had a lot of success. He's not bowling high-end pace like some of those others, but super consistent, doesn't give up any runs, builds pressure and has an outstanding record. So I think, if I was England, probably take a little bit of a leaf out of that book. They've got plenty of guys that can do similar roles as him. Is that the way to go than looking for all-out pace? So plenty of decisions to be made, but yeah, it's going to be an exciting summer.
Well, Scotty certainly had a fantastic series against India just a short while back, but so did somebody else, Peter. Jasprit Bumrah, man of the series, 32 wickets at 13 apiece. Brilliant, we thought. What are your thoughts on him? And of course, if I can extend that too, if not the best, then let's say the top 3 bowlers, fast bowlers that you would pick for having performed really well in Australia during your time.
Yeah, for sure. I think it doesn't matter who you ask that question to. I think they're going to be high praise for him. But I obviously love seeing him at the test level go about his work and what he does out in the middle. But I just think his skill set across all formats, he's successful in all conditions around the world. And yeah, I loved watching him bowl in that last series. I think, he handled the captaincy well, as Paddy does. To be able to do that as a fast bowler and still get the job done with the ball was amazing. And I think, like we've probably said, he when he first came out here a few years ago, prior, he bowled at a lot higher speed than he did recently. I think, after a few injuries, he's found a happy medium at the level he wants to bowl at. He can probably control the intensity a lot better than he did when he was a little younger. But I think, like we saw, his skill set, swing, seam, how to build pressure. But yeah, when the team needed him to take a wicket, he stood up and got the job done. And I think it backs up a little bit. Yes, he does still bowl quite high end, but more often than not, he was just bowling good line and length. He was consistent. He built pressure at that sort of high 130, low 140 sort of level, rather than the high 140s that he probably did when he was a little bit younger. So yeah, outstanding bowler. I love watching him go about his business, and very happy I never had to face him, which was always a blessing.
You were famously a competitive wood chopper, weren't you, before turning to cricket as a professional career? So you've now had 20 years of cutting down batters with quick bowling. No chance of going back to the wood chopping now, I presume.
No, I won't be going back to that. I think, I stopped that when I was in my early teens. It was more just, it was a big family thing, being a country boy, going to local shows and stuff like that, doing a bit of wood chopping. But I realised at an early age that to play sport, I'm probably going to need my big toes. And if I had lopped off one of them at that stage, I probably wouldn't have been playing much cricket or bowling many balls at all. So I made the wise decision, and I think it's paid off in the end.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for being with us on Stumped. Great to speak to you. And congratulations on your career. That's Peter Siddle, former Australia fast bowler, who is retired now from first class cricket. Next on Stumped, one of the world's most famous cricket grounds, the Gabba, is going to be demolished. The Queensland government has announced that a new 63,000-seater stadium will be built in Brisbane as the centrepiece of the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games. This new multi-sport arena will host the opening and closing ceremonies as well as the athletics. The plans will see the new stadium then become Brisbane's home for cricket, with the famous but somewhat dated Gabba Stadium set to be knocked down once the games are over. Jim, this has been quite the saga, hasn't it? I mean, last I heard was in the lead up to the 2024 state elections that a new stadium wouldn't be built. So there's been another turnaround.
Well, there's been a change of government, of course, and there's been some prevarication, some speculation about the fact that before the Olympics even came along that the Gabba was out of date. It needed to be refurbished, if not knocked down and started again. And then the Olympics gave them the opportunity to do that. And now that they've made this decision to go to a place closer to the middle of town, as it were, a bit like the MCG in Melbourne, at Victoria Park, it looks like the Gabba will end up becoming residential. And it's in that part of the city. It's changed so much down at Woodland Gabba since the place was first used before the war. And I think it's run out of gas, really. One of the interesting things that we won't see again, and someone needs to take a good 360-degree photo, is the coloured seating. Now, the coloured seating was supposed to give the Gabba the look of a ground that was full when it wasn't. But it was a damn nuisance for cricketers because they couldn't find the damn ball with all those coloured seats. So, yes. So that's one of the reasons, apart from the basic needs of people who are disabled, all the sort of things that are around grounds that are more than 30 years old. So it was going to happen one way or another, and this is the outcome.
But Charu, that 2021 test match between India and Australia, that has gone down in Indian folklore, hasn't it?
Well, yes, becoming the first Asian team to win at the Gabba in, 32 years of Australia pasting every other team in there. So India will have some recent fond memories, though not of the past. But I think from the Indian fan standpoint, or perhaps just the way grounds in Australia have become legendary around the world, it was much more MCG in Sydney that took away all the attention, or the main part of the attention. India did a fair amount of winning at Adelaide, so that became a bit of a happy ground for India. And finally, of course, when they won the series in Australia, the big thing for India was to actually win at Perth, which was meant to be the fastest in the world. So it had that reputation. But India did very well to break that Gabba taboo.
Yeah, it was fabulous, wasn't it? And I'm sure there's a number of England cricketers who'll be relieved that they don't have to go to the Gabba anymore, because England famously struggled there and they haven't won a test match there since 1986. And you think of some iconic opening deliveries in Ashes Test series, and it's so often two in particular that England were on the wrong end of, one being Steve Harmison's wide, which went to Andrew Flintoff at second slip. And then, of course, most recently, Rory Burns cleaned up first ball by Mitchell Starc. So maybe the England team can start afresh at a new stadium as well. But yes, farewell to the Gabba. It has provided many an amazing cricketing memory, but I'm afraid it is time to go. Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped on Akashvani. My thanks to Charu Sharma, to Jim Maxwell, and to all of you. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Stumped is a BBC Sport production for the BBC World Service in association with ABC and Akashvani.